my best to help you figure out how to diagnose and fix traffic drops. So a little bit about me. I am a 16-year veteran of the SEO industry, so I've been at this a really long time. I'm the owner of Two Dogs Media. I had my own agency in SEO and web development for about 15 years, and I sold that in 2001. Went to work for another agency, realized I wanted to leave agency life behind, and now I am working as an SEO director for Content at Scale, which is an AI writing tool. So that's where my home is right now. My specialties are technical and organic SEO efforts. So I'm very big into the technical side of things, which will really help a lot when it comes to diagnosing traffic drops. So my other passion project is Blue Collar Brain. So that's my pride and joy baby. It's a blog, which I actually did just have a big traffic drop with. So you'll see some of the results of that in the slideshow here. So let's get started. And when you're analyzing your traffic, okay, the first thing you need to do is what part of your traffic is dropping. Everybody always assumes it's organic, but as we know, there's a lot of different channels. You have social, you have organic, you have direct. So I'm going to go through a couple of ways where you can try and figure out which one it is. We're not going to cover too much about social or direct today. This webinar is going to be focused on organic traffic so that you can better understand what you need to do to win Google and Bing traffic back. So let's head over to the next slide. So GA4, not a fan, but it's what we have. And so I did try to do a couple screenshots to help you understand where to kind of diagnose what's going on. This is my own website. So as you can see, I was actually hit pretty hard by the helpful content update, which I'm going to talk about later. I know exactly why I got hit, so I'm not worried about it. I know I can bring it back, but we're going to talk about that. In the GA4 account, when you scroll over acquisition, and you'll see user acquisition. Okay, this is where you can kind of get an idea of where your drop happened. Okay, so in here I can see organic search, direct, referral, organic social, and email, and it's all color coded. So my organic is the blue, the purple I think is organic social. You've got email, which is a darker purple. So there's different colors, so you can easily see what fell. So clearly for me, it was just organic traffic that fell. Ooh, sorry about that. So this hurt me a lot, and we're gonna talk about what some of the reasons are for traffic drops. For me, it was specifically the helpful content update. I'm imagining there's people on this call that were also hit by that, so I am gonna touch on that for a bit. Then next, if you realize it's organic, okay, one of the things you can look at, you wanna see where you are year over year. Okay, so if this year you lost a lot of traffic, the first thing you want to do is make sure it's not something that really should lose traffic. Maybe you're a seasonal website and that traffic loss is normal and you just forgot. You can kind of diagnose if there were some changes you made to your website from last year. So maybe you did a redesign, or you did some coding changes or a new theme. All those things can impact traffic loss. So if you run a year over year, you can kind of gauge, okay, am I down because of something I did this year? I was up higher last year. What did I do this year that could have impacted my organic traffic? So I always do run a year over year. Now for me, it was actually pretty unique because I can see here last summer, I had a big spike and then I dropped off. So I don't remember if there was an update during this time, but then this year I had a big spike and then dropped off. This is not normal. So what I'm understanding is that, my trajectory last year is much different than this year. So I would want to go back and see what last year made me go up, okay, and see if there was an update here that kind of put me up and then put me down. So these are just different ways to kind of navigate where you're seeing growth, where you're seeing drops, and then you can go back and find out what happened during that period for that growth or that drop. So from this section here, where we're up for this year, I believe that was an August core update. So for some reason, the core update loved me, okay, but the September helpful content update did not. And then I even fell a little more with the update from October as well. So Google Search Console. So once you're done with GA4, Google Search Console. So GA4 is taking all your traffic. So that's the way you can find out where your traffic is being lost, in what channel you're losing the most. For some people on sites that I've reviewed recently, a lot of people lost a lot in social. So, social is seeing an upheaval too in how they're doling out organic traffic. So they weren't losing in organic. They were terrified they were, but when they really focused on those channels, they saw that they were losing in social. One woman actually, for whatever reason, plummeted in Pinterest. So she's evaluating with a Pinterest specialist, what she can do there. So that's why it's really important to understand channels. Once you know, or feel like it's organic, you can also check in Google Search Console. So we can see the same trajectory here where it's going up and then coming down. Google Search Console is only organic traffic. So that's all you're going to find in here is organic and web stories, things like that. So I am a diehard Google Search Console fan. This is pretty much where I live and die. So I use this every day I'm in here, and you guys should really learn how to use this tool the best you can, because this is the tool that's going to give you the technical things that you need to understand about your website, how Google is seeing it, what they're seeing, and all that. So clearly from January 1st through October 30th, big skyrocket, big drop. If you're seeing these kind of drops in here, there's different filters in Google Search Console that you can use to try and better understand what's going on and where that traffic is being lost. Okay. Serpstat is another great way to understand where you lost. So this is my site in Serpstat. Okay. And I love how they just give you this really great visual. And you can make sure it aligns with what you're seeing in Google Search Console and Google Analytics. Okay, so third-party tools are great for analyzing data, but make sure you look at the data closely. All these tools, it's not exact from Google Search Console or from GA4, but it's giving you a pretty good idea. So there's a huge loss of visibility for October. We have to look at what these terms are that are losing. So for me specifically, one of the things I noticed with this big drop, it was actually one page that really plummeted. I had worked really hard to get that page on position 1. It took me about 2 years to beat out all the competition, and I wound up in position 1. But when I looked, this page was primarily the reason for the drop in the helpful content update. Does that mean that page was targeted in the helpful content update? No. Helpful content update was a site-wide classifier. So it's probably other pages that are hurting it, but it was that main page that dropped for me so much. So I lost a ton of terms from that one page. And then another thing to think about, and this is an important one, how many keywords were you ranking for that you should have never been ranking for in the first place? Okay, so say you're writing you have a business, you're a shoe retailer, and you're writing something, you sell sneakers, but you're writing articles about dress shoes. Okay, you shouldn't really be ranking for dress shoes because that's not something you offer. And I see that a lot where people are, they're writing content and they're starting to rank for really, really competitive terms, and they really shouldn't be ranking for them anyway because they're way too competitive. It doesn't have any user intent that matches what their website is. So this is a really important component of analyzing traffic drops, okay? When you're seeing a drop in traffic, you have to be truthful to yourself about what should have been there in the first place. Because if you're getting traffic that's not fulfilling user intent or not aligned with whatever your common goal is or what your niche is, you probably shouldn't have had that traffic in the first place. So you're not really losing anything because you should have never had it at all, okay? And I'll try and go into that in a little more detail. So now you know. So at this point, you're gonna have a good idea if your website traffic drop is organic or another source, okay? If it was a drop in social, unfortunately, you're probably at the mercy of the platform, so you'll need to dive into any updates they may have done. I am personally not a fan of social media, so I don't really focus too much on it, but I know people who have gotten slammed on social media and they never really got their jive back. I've seen other people totally rekindle it. So I know it takes a lot of effort to really drive that social traffic improvement. Referral traffic drops. So if you're in GA4 and you're seeing referral traffic drops, you might have lost a backlink. That website that was linking to you may have had a decline in traffic themselves. Maybe the backlink was removed or the backlink's broken. So those are things that you should kind of assess through a tool like Serpstat, see if they can signal, any kind of referring domains that have lost, that you lost that domain. So that's why that referral traffic dropped. And then direct traffic. This one's a hard one because direct traffic, it's a mix of traffic sources, and sometimes it's not easy to identify. It's usually because Google cannot verify where that traffic is coming from. So it could be a bookmark, it could be somebody typed something to your website. It might be a referring domain that has something set up where they have no referrer appended, so you're never going to know that it's coming from them. So this is a harder one to diagnose, but it's worth trying. It's worth seeing if you can figure out where that direct traffic drop is coming from. But it's definitely probably the hardest one to navigate. So what are some common reasons websites lose organic traffic? So we have algorithm updates, website issues, content, competitor improvements, SERP changes, keyword volumes changing, and current events. So I'm going to break down each one of these separately and kind of run through them. So algorithm updates. Okay, I don't know if you guys know, Google has not been our friend at all lately. So if you have friends who are SEOs, please buy them a drink because they can really use them about now. Algorithm updates have been happening non-stop, and it's so bad this year that it's really hard for us to even kind of diagnose sometimes what update is doing what anymore, because they're kind of layering them all on top of each other. So with the sites that I have seen recently, the helpful content update was a complete nightmare, and that was the one that hurt my site as well. I am going to dive into that one a little deeper. But September, we had the helpful content update. October, we had a spam update and a core update. November, we have another core update going on right now. So we've 4 major updates in probably about 6 weeks. And some people are losing in every single update. Some are bouncing up and down. So right now it's a really difficult time to try and figure out what's going on with these updates. The helpful content update was just that. It was about helpful content. So with my own site, I know I had to step back and be honest. So the one thing I see the biggest issue with website owners is that they're so passionate about what they're doing that they're not taking an honest step back and looking at their site and really evaluating whether or not that content is helpful. For me, I took a step back after I cried. I took a step back and I said, I have a lot of content here that's really not that helpful. And it's probably a little over-optimized because as an SEO, I typically optimize my content and I may have overdone it. So I took a step back and I'm working on it. Spam update, I would think most people on this call are not going to be affected by a spam update unless you're doing really black hat techniques. I don't see too many people have been affected by that one. Core updates are when Google is kind of changing their algorithm. So we don't know what that algorithm change is. And sometimes those are really hard to diagnose, but they're always changing these algorithms. And that's what's kind of going on now. There's another algorithm update going on right now. So you can see here, there is a list of Google algorithm updates history if you want to learn a little more, but I have something cooler on the next slide. So 2023 helpful content update. Okay. This little pop-up comes from a website called Barracuda, and the link should be in the slideshow, but barracuda.digital has something called a penguin tool. What it does, it integrates with your Google account, your Google Analytics account, and it'll give you an overlay of any updates over a period of time. For my site, you can see here when I hovered over this line, it gave me this information. I was in, or this one, actually, this green one here. There was another update here, but I wasn't really affected by it. But this green one you can see is where the drop started. And it's telling me this is what's affecting me. So this is a good way if you think you've been impacted by an update to kind of understand what update it was. And then it'll give you a little information about that update. Okay, so you do have to allow access to your analytics to use it, but it's a really useful tool for helping you understand if it was an algorithm update. Okay, so if you confirmed you were hit by an update, the next step is to figure out why. Okay, a helpful content update was strongly weighted on helpful content. Do we really know what that means exactly? No, Google doesn't tell us that. But these are some theories going around from all of us SEOs to kind of give everybody an idea of what they should be working on. Make sure your content is not written for SEO, but for users. So in the past, I have been very SEO. I write my titles SEO, I write my H2s, H1s, I make sure my content's optimized, I do all the things. Now we have to start taking a little bit of a step back. Doesn't mean SEO is dead, it's not. It's just Google has gotten so much smarter and we kind of take it for granted that they're not that smart, but they are. So say if my H1 is best shoes for running, I might not want to use that for my H1 anymore. So I might want to use something like shoes that can help me run faster in the country. You know, it still has kind of that take on it, but we're not just giving Google a keyword as our title or in our H2s. We have to be more creative. We have to talk to the people that are looking for those shoes. So instead of best running shoe or 10 best running shoes, what is a user going to want? You know, they're going to want specifics. You know, running 10 running shoes that can help you run on rocks. You know, be more specific. Be more. I'm not a content person. I'm not a good writer. Like, you know, you have to be creative with your terminology, but still use some SEO, some keywords or variations of. Right? Is your content unique? Is it offering a new angle? This is a big one. When you're assessing what content to write, you should be looking at your competitors, seeing what they're doing and doing it better. If they're using a video, you need a video. If they're using graphs, you need a graph. If they're not using a video and not using a graph, you should use both. So you need to figure out a way to tell Google, hey, my content's better than my competitors. I have this, they don't. And that's going to be a strong thing moving forward. You're really going to have to be more creative with your content to avoid these kind of traffic drops from algorithms. Make sure your social presence is there and you're actively engaging on it, using authors and experts to review or write content. Okay. Trust is going to be a big thing. Creating a brand, making sure you're a brand, not just a blog or, you know, just writing, you know, just to make money. We need to make sure we're brands moving forward. Removing the fluff. This is the biggest thing I see across the board, whether you're B2B, enterprise level, blogger. Fluff is a big issue. We have years of being told you need 4,000 words. You don't anymore. So decrease the fluff, guys, and just get to the point. Make it short and sweet. Answer the question, entertain, but keep it short and sweet. To clarify what the helpful content update is, it's different from a core update, and I want you to understand the difference because I don't know if they're going to have more of these in the future. HCU is a classifier. So what that means, if you fell in September, Google pretty much said, there's a lot going on your site that's not helpful, so we're going to classify your site as not helpful. But the good thing about a classifier is you can actually get back some of your ranking much quicker than you can with an update. If Google comes back in a few weeks and you've cleaned up your website and kind of removed that crappy content and edited some content and your site had been demoted, you may actually get back some of your rankings sooner than later. Core updates, you can't get back until they come and do another core update. So if you were hit in an October core update, you might be able to get back in November. They're doing one now, but usually it'll take a couple months before you'll see any reward. So that should be so core updates, again, it's about the algorithm. Usually it's things like EAT, expertise, experience, authority. Google's trying to look for those things when it's crawling your site, keeping content fresh and updated, making sure your website's easy to use, you know, the ads, the call to actions, the mailing lists. You guys have to be careful with all of that and not overdo it. Page speed, core web vitals. I want to clarify something. So page speed and core web vitals are not going to cause a traffic drop unless it's significant. The It's just everybody's out there saying, I need to increase my core web vitals. That's not going to be the thing. If you have horrible content, horrible page speed, horrible core web vitals, you deserve to be hit. If you have fantastic content and just okay page speed and core web vitals, you're going to be okay. So don't think any of these things is going to be the thing that's going to make your traffic drop reverse, because it's not. It's doing all these things. Okay, so there's not just one thing. Okay. So this is a really important piece of paper, and it's super boring, but you might want to read this when you have time, or make sure you have an SEO on board who reads it or understands it, because these are the things that they look for to avoid the traffic drops. Okay, so you should be kind of adhering by these guidelines to make sure that you're doing all the right things. Website issues. This is another big one. Recent design updates. Okay. Did you change URLs? Was there important text on the page that you don't have there anymore? Did you change the structure and remove all of your headings, your H1s, your H2s? Are they all different now? This is one of the biggest issues I see for traffic drops by far. The owner of the company is so, we need to do this, we need to do this, and they're not thinking ahead about the impact that it has on organic. I usually tell people minimize the design updates. Because it can be a disaster if it's not done right. If you're a business and you're planning a design update, please hire someone to help you. Okay, you don't need a full-time SEO. Just bring a contractor on board who can help you navigate that system, because it can make or break you. Coding issues. Okay, is the site mobile friendly? Does it pass core web vitals? Is the user experience good? So core web vitals, user experience, these are all important things for Google. They want to make sure your users have a good experience. So I know I just said about core web vitals. That one thing is not going to make or break you. It's all of these things together. Okay, coding issues. You could have a coding issue and still rank really well. So it's not the end all, but these are things you should be aware of. I am a type A. I make sure I pass everything. All my stuff is clean, and I still got hit. Okay, so for me, and that's how you kind of know. If I have a traffic drop and I know my CWV is perfect and my site's mobile friendly and my user experience, I don't even have ads on my one site that got hit. My images are sized properly and I still got hit. So I know it's my content. Okay, so look at it that way too. So if all these things are good, what's not good? So you have to kind of reverse engineer what you're looking at. Malware is a big one. And I know there's some people who get hit with malware and they don't even know it until it's too late. Make sure you're running scans every couple days, every day if you can, or that you have a host that does it for you. But malware can tank your site very quickly. Usually you'll see something in Google Search Console, or you'll start seeing weird things, weird URLs in Google Search Console. Tracking errors is another one. Sometimes when a redesign is done, people forget to put the tracking code back in, or they're putting in the wrong tracking code. So just make sure your tracking codes are good. WordPress. Sometimes I see people who are freaking out because none of their pages are indexed. Well, they forgot to set it to index in the settings area. This especially happens a lot when there is a redesign. People forget, that they set it to no index during the design process, and then they forget to re-index it. So make sure that's good. Check your robots text file. Quite often over the years, I have found where a developer, for whatever reason, was blocking Google in the robots text file. Changing CMS or hosts, that can absolutely tank your site. Okay, but there's some really bad hosts out there, and I'm not naming any names, but make sure you're on a really strong host where you're not lumped in with thousands of other websites. If there's one investment you make, have it be the host. I'd rather see you invest in a good host than over-the-top design. So the hosting really matters. Okay, and this is the robots file sample here where it shows disallow. This, if you have this in your robots text file, that means you're disallowing the bots from crawling your site. So you want to make sure that that's not in there. And then content. Sometimes there's content deleted by accident. Internal links, if they're broken, so make sure you're doing a content audit frequently. I actually do a content audit on my own sites twice a year. I do a full content audit and make sure everything is good. Migration gone wrong. This was such a great example. This was actually shared. I got permission to use a screenshot. This was an example of a site that underwent a migration. So they went to a new host and they actually did a redesign. So you can see the traffic was on a great trajectory up. They did the migration in February and they tanked. Okay. Took them this long to figure it out, and then they started fixing it 6 months later when they realized that sales were down, leads were down. This is what happens when you don't have a technical person on hand when you're migrating, redesigning, and changing hosts. So this is why it is so important. Website issues. This is probably the thing I could talk about for 10 hours, and I have to lump it into about 3 minutes. Google Search Console, I can't say this enough, you should be in here every day. Every day, just analyzing and making sure everything's good. So Google Search Console will explain to you why pages are not being crawled and why they're not being indexed. Example here, I have 11 pages not indexed. Down here it says crawled, currently not indexed. When I click on this, it'll give me a list of the pages that are not indexed. This might be okay, maybe I don't need them indexed for whatever reason, but if they're pages that should be indexed, I need to figure out why. For my example, crawled, currently not indexed, it's 11 pages that are low quality. And Google is telling me, we don't think these are good enough to be indexed right now, so you should probably go fix them. So I'm gonna go fix them and hopefully they'll get indexed. But this is an important piece of information to help you understand what's going on. And I know right now there is a huge amount of people suffering with indexing issues. So if your traffic has been dropping, this can be an issue. You might come in here and see at one point I had 339 index pages. Well, maybe now I only have 200 because something happened. There was something that Google doesn't like about my pages anymore. It's always changing their algorithm. So you always have to be aware of what's going on with your site. All of these down here, it's all different reasons. So this one is not found 404. I don't have any right now, but I did. You can see it came up, but then I fixed it and it went down. Okay, I asked it to validate it and it passed. 404 is just, I probably deleted something and maybe I didn't redirect it anywhere or whatever. So some people are okay with 404s. I'm fine with some 404s. Every site's gonna have them and that's okay. The biggest one I have is crawled, currently not indexed. So I want to bring up two things about the crawled, currently not indexed. One, you're not always going to get your stuff indexed. Sometimes Google is just overwhelmed. They may have, I use this as an example. There's probably, I don't know, millions of chocolate chip recipes out there for cookies, chocolate chip cookie recipes. There's probably millions of them. Google probably doesn't want any more. So they may not index your page. And that's okay. Maybe you need to figure out a different way to do it. Maybe it needs to be chocolate chip cookies with pecans. Maybe that's a little bit different than a standard chocolate chip cookie recipe. The reality is AI has changed things and it's made it harder for Google to be able to index everything. And number two, AI. AI content can absolutely be indexed and do really well, but you have to edit it. Don't be taking AI content, throwing it up on your site and thinking it's going to rank and last. You may see it take off, and I've seen so many case studies on this where, hey, I uploaded 1,400 posts yesterday and look at them all. They're ranking already. It's only been a week. And those sites typically will come crashing down. If you are uploading a bulk of content, and I work for an AI content company, I do believe in AI content, but I believe in AI content used wisely. Don't upload 1,400 posts in a week. Google's going to nail you on that, knowing that nobody can possibly do 1,400 posts a week. And there's no way you can edit 1,400 posts a week to make it useful for a reader. Think smart. This is your business. You need this to make money. So just do things ethically and do things wisely. Use your AI content, but customize it. Read it, rewrite it, remove the fluff from it, add in images, add in tables, all those things. It's going to increase your chance of getting a page indexed or re-indexed if it fell out. But this is one of the most important pieces of information that Google is giving you about your site. Website audit. Serpstat has a great website audit feature. Run a scan. just see what's going on, get a bird's eye view of high priority issues, low priority issues, and just see what's going on technically and get some information that can help you improve your site from that perspective. Okay. If you have technical issues and you can't do them, hire someone. Don't try to fix things yourself if you're not sure. I do see a lot of people who want to fix it themselves. They think it's not that hard. Sometimes it's hard and you can make things worse. So definitely hire someone. Content analysis, website content. So these are things that can also contribute to a drop in traffic and rank. Did you change the H1 to be less optimized? Do you not have an H1 at all? Were H2 and H3 level headers all changed? Did you remove images, tables, videos? Were internal links removed and they're now a 404? Say you had 3 posts and you deleted them and those posts were linking to other posts on your site. Okay, so now it's just kind of screwing up your internal link balance. So now that page that used to have 3 internal links going to it doesn't have those internal links anymore helping it. Internal links are an important part of SEO. When you remove pages and you remove those internal links that are going to other pages, you're lessening the value of that page as well. So just be careful when you're doing that kind of thing. Is your content too thin? Engagement time. Not sure if you saw the Google lawsuit going on right now. For years, SEOs have been saying, time on page matters. How many clicks coming from Google search matters. And Google's like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Well, it does. The longer people stay on your page, Google knows, Google rewards that. When a lot of people click on your search result over your competitors, Google knows that and they use that. All those years they said they weren't, but they are. So make sure your time on page is good. If you're looking at your time on page and you're seeing, page times of 20 seconds, you have a problem. I like to see things at least 2 minutes or more, depending on the length of the content. So that's definitely something to look at. Get a free tool. There's tools like, I love Microsoft Clarity is free, integrates with your website, and it allows you to see how users are getting through your website. I highly recommend it. So you can manage how people are interacting with your content. Duplicate content is a big one. So I'm actually going through a site right now that has, for an example, they had 8 posts on exactly the same topic. That's a huge problem and you don't want to do that. So definitely do a content audit. I spoke about that earlier. The content audit can make a big impact. I have been known to delete thousands of articles on sites. It usually works really well. Is your content helpful? Not written for SEO. Do you have authors with expertise with bios? These are all things that can affect you. Again, it's not one thing. It's all the things. What page is lost? This is important, and I only got about 5 minutes left. The pages that lost Google Search Console, this is where you really can understand what is performing and what is not. When you go into Google Search Console, you can look and you can compare dates. So I compared August versus October because I was doing really well in August and I totally tanked in October. I wanted to see what pages were impacted the most. So now I can see 2,100 less clicks in October, 60,000 less impressions in October for this page. Then I have this page, this 72,000 less impressions. So this gives me a starting point of where I want to see what pages need to be improved. Okay, you can look by pages or queries, okay, but compare the dates from when you were at your highest to your lowest. Look at those pieces of content and see how you can improve. Okay, here is, so clicks and impressions, just same thing, just clarifying. What queries were lost? You can choose, I had pages selected in the previous slide. Here I have queries. Now I can see the queries that are showing me. So I have something near me lost 15,000 impressions from August to October, 15,000 impressions for this term. So I lost pretty big and it really hurt, but use this data to help you understand where to start your fixes. Web stories. I don't do web stories. I just wanted to show this in case you do. I usually exclude them from any comparisons because you can't really optimize for web stories. It's a hit or miss thing. So this specific person came to me stressing out because she lost so much traffic. She felt much better when I told her it was all her web stories. So her organic didn't take a hit, but her web stories did. So make sure you're analyzing the data to make sure you're understanding where that loss is. So she felt much better after she realized it was web stories. So she's not as concerned. Again, same thing. We removed it all, and now we know exactly what pages took a hit. She still had, this was a different site actually. This person, I removed the web story. She still got hit by organic though, but at least she knows it's not as horrific as it was. We removed the web stories, and this is what she was left with organic. Not sure your content is strong enough. Competitor analysis. So this is an important part. I love Serpstat's way of the visual, where you can actually see the URLs and which ones were ranking on which date. That'll allow you to see. So if you were in position 1 on November 1st and you fell to position 3 on the 2nd, you'd be able to see the 2 people that moved in above you, and you can analyze their content. What maybe did they do? Did they make an update the day before, a couple days before? Did they add something to the page? You can use archive.org to see how it looked on November or October 29th. So this is a good way to be able to see who moved in above you and analyze how or what they did that might be better than your page. Other reasons. So keyword search fluctuation is a big one. Buying a home, peak season is in spring, but you can see it fell in 2021. It's been dropping a bit. So if we were optimizing for buying a home, we may be seeing a downtrend a little bit. So the traffic naturally is going to fall. And I do see this a lot, especially with everything going on in the world. There's a lot of search volumes down for a lot of terms. So it could just be a natural phenomenon that traffic or search volume is down for your niche or your industry. So use Google Trends, get an idea of how well your niche is doing from a traffic perspective. Changing SERPs, this is a huge issue right now, and I can't even put into words where this is going because it's changing every day. Generative search experience, if you guys have not seen it yet, it's really kind of changed the game. I don't think it's rolled out for everyone yet, but it's pushing content down. So even if you're still at #1 right now, you may be seeing a lot less clicks because you have to scroll so far down the screen now to be able to even get to the organic search. This changes based on what the query is. So whatever you're looking to rank for, put your query in, evaluate those top ranking pages, see what the SERP looks like. If it's a lot of videos, you're gonna have to add a video to your post. If it's a lot of images, you're gonna have to add more images and optimize them for your post. The game is changing, and you need to stay on top of it by analyzing what Google is delivering for that query. News and events is huge. As we know, the world's kind of in a crazy place right now. You could be affected by this. There's certain industries that are taking a hit. I know some people who have European travel blogs, they're down a lot right now. A lot of luxury brands are down right now. If you're seeing an overall drop and you can't really diagnose that it's officially traffic related, you may notice clicks are down in your Google Search Console. This could signify just a general, your industry is down a bit because of the state of the world. Manual action. If you have a manual action due to something spammy or hacky, you can check it in Google Search Console. There's a manual action section and a security issue section. It should notify you if there's anything major going on. And then link building. Have you lost a lot of backlinks? These are typically not a reason I find for traffic drops site-wide, but it can affect certain pages. So you just want to make sure you're not losing a lot of high authority backlinks. Is there a link building campaign that you've been doing, then all of a sudden you stopped? I see a lot of people that do a link building campaign for 6 months and then they stop it, and then the traffic will start to flow down a little bit. It just isn't keeping that momentum. Just something to think about. And that's it. So that's everything. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jill Caren. I have a YouTube channel where I do try to do some videos, training videos, technical training, organic training at SEO Jill. And you can, twodogs.media. I don't do much on my website, but YouTube and LinkedIn is where you can connect with me. And if you have any questions, let me know. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you.
It was great, Jill. Thank you very much. amazing performance. I want to notice that to implement the knowledge that Jill shared with us today, you can always rely on Serpstat. You can receive notification about sudden changes on your website data, monitor issues, and of course, track your competitors' updates. So check out all these tools with 7-day free trial. And please prepare your questions to Jill because I suppose you have them. And we already have a few, to be precise, 3 questions to you that we received during the presentation. So let's start from them. And the first one, I'm reading. Would you share some insights on maintaining a balance between updating content to keep it fresh and avoiding the risk of affecting well-performing pages during the content refresh process?
So with my own processes, I do not update pages that are performing well, especially given the industry as it is right now. If you have a page that's performing, leave it alone. I wouldn't even change it unless you have to change it because something has changed in that post. So if you have a product or a service, if you're a B2B and you need to update that page, then go ahead and update it. Just be cautious with it. But if you're blogging, just leave it alone for now and don't change anything at this point in time, because especially during an update, it's important for you guys to understand when updates are happening so that you can understand when to make changes. We typically recommend not to make changes to existing content during an update. Add new content, but try not to change existing content until the updates are done. That way, if there's been movement in the SERPs, you can better analyze who won in that last update.
Good, let's move on to the next one. Jill, could you suggest any advanced techniques for using Google Analytics 4 to pinpoint which content topics are not only losing traction, but also why they might be declined?
I hate GA4, so I have absolutely no, no feedback on that. I do love GSC. Google Search Console is where I do all of my data analysis for my content. That was some of the last screens that I showed where you can actually go in and you could look at the pages and how they've been performing over up to 16 months. So you can go back 16 months and see how a page was performing. If they've been declining, it'll show you that. You can do a year-over-year comparison. So as far as like topics go, you can do a search in Google Search Console around specific topics as well. So if you're in the pages area in Google Search Console, there's a search filter where you can put in maybe if you have a topic of bodybuilding, you could type in bodybuilding and it'll show you all the pages or queries around bodybuilding, and then you can evaluate that as a whole. So I would really recommend you really deep dive into Google Search Console. I do have on my SEO channel on YouTube a few really good tutorials on using Google Search Console for more advanced research like that.
Great, okay. And the last question we have, I'm curious about social traffic drops. Can you provide insights on how to differentiate between a drop that is specific to a social media platform or content related?
That you would do in GA4. So that was in the earlier slide where I showed you, I can't remember where it is offhand. It was like user acquisition and then traffic channel. And then I believe, and I don't know how to do it, like I said, I kind of walked away from GA4, but there should be a way where you can, if you click on social traffic, where you can see if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, which traffic is losing the performance. And then you can also do where you look at all the pages and then apply a filter where you can see it by organic and different search. So you really kind of need a GA4 tutorial, but there are ways you can do it in there.
Great. Everyone will receive the presentation. So you can follow the links to learn and dive deep in this question. And you can always text us on social media. And of course, subscribe to Jill on her social media. You saw that on the last slide, she left all important links. And guys, thank you all for being with us today. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm happy to announce that we will talk about common SEO mistakes and how to avoid them, and what our speaker learned from 300 website audits. Don't forget to follow us, of course, Serpstat on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter, and subscribe, Jill, and have a good day. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.